Meeting of the Rutherford County Schools Board. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will be leading the pledge today. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you bow your head for a moment of silence, please? Thank you. First up on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Give you just a second to take a look at the agenda. Any questions or comments? If there are no questions or comments, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Sorry. I'm sorry, we forgot to vote. I'm so sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Your motion? Thank you. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now we'll move to approval of the consent agenda. Sorry about that. Take a look at it real quickly. Do we have anything to add or anything? Okay.
And we do not.
Are there any questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval passes. Next, we're going to go to number 6, public comment. Mr. Robert Brooks. Thank you, sir.
Of course, thank
you
you.
When the
Yes,
green
ma'am.
light starts.
Yes, ma'am. All right, good day, board members. New board members, new chair, congratulations, Mrs. Maxwell. Vice chair, congratulations, Mrs. Rosales. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about this form that was sent out this year about the nurses and all that thing. Now, hear me when I say this, okay? I appreciate everyone in the school system, the jobs that you all do, because a lot of people can't do them. I can't be a nurse. It's not because I can't handle blood, but it's just because I don't have that certification and I don't have that degree. So to all my nurses, if you are in the room, thank you so much for what you do, because it's not easy. Now, on to the parent portion of this. Let's see. Right before school started, there was a form sent home. Now, just to preface with everybody, I've already sent an email to Dr. Sullivan, and he so graciously worked on it so fast. I appreciate that, Dr. Sullivan. And we came to a resolution. But I sat back and thought yet again, are we for the kids or against the kids? Because we sent a form home and we asked parents to sign it with very vague information on it. Now, I also do my research, so what I did was, before I responded to this, I wanted to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row. So I went and seeked out the law, which thank you again, Mrs. Rosales. Mrs. Rosales responded to my email in a very timely manner. At first I was a little confused, but I think I got it cleared up. And she told me to look at the state law, so I did. But what she didn't know was I looked at that state law before I even sent the email, because I wanted to make sure that if this was something put in state law and it hadn't gone before our policy committee, then why in the world is this form going home? So one of my questions was, where is this in the policy? Where is it in our policy for our county that we have to sign yes to a form that I don't feel comfortable signing to, because I believe that it opens up the door for a lot of different things to happen with my child in school? Let alone, I will note back, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago when she was at Smyrna Middle, They were segregated, and I don't use that word lightly, but they were segregated based upon whether they were vaccinated or not. That's a problem. They were also checked. Weight was checked, temperature was checked, blood pressure was checked. They were given a straight up physical. Little did anybody know, my daughter just had a physical. Why? Because I do take my child to the doctor. I'm here for one thing. It's to protect the parent. We say that state law is set up in a certain way, and Mrs. Rosales, you said it clearly. You said this is state law. You're correct. State law is put in place to protect us. It's to protect you because you are a parent, as you duly stated Tuesday night. So as a parent, I'm concerned about that. Now I've got 15 seconds. I'm going to sum this up real quick. My daughter's an athlete. She was told right before one of her volleyball games that she would not be able to play because this form superseded TSSAA. Who runs our athletics in our county? TSSAA does. We've already signed said form. I shall return.
Thank you. We have no guest speakers tonight, so we go to number 8, Rutherford Proud.
All right, number 8, Rutherford Proud. And Ms. Flannery, if you'll go ahead and come up while I'm reading this, or are you going to read this whole portion? I'll take this part. So this is the RCS Grow Your Own Teacher graduate. So in the spring of 2023, 42 paraprofessional apprentices were given the opportunity to gain licensure and a master's degree through a partnership between Rutherford County Schools and Lipscomb University's Grow Your Own program. Over the past 2 years, these apprentices transitioned from EAs to teachers of record, helping RCS fill many of our special education and ESL positions. It's because of their commitment, perseverance, and success that we honor them with a token of appreciation and recognition before our Board of Education and district leaders. And thank you, Ms. Flannery, Dr. Chastain, Dr. Anthony, for our work on this, because it has helped us fill classroom positions and get some of our EAs a opportunity for a better life as well as a classroom teacher. So definitely a lot of things to be celebrated. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Well, Janet Flannery, a coordinator of new teacher programs and recruitment, and today we celebrate our very first cohort of Grow Your Own apprentices who are now leading classes of their own. Starting as paraprofessionals, 39 Rutherford County teachers committed to working as an apprentice during year 1. Many became job-embedded teachers by year 2, and after an abundance of perseverance, long days and nights, and dedication to finish strong, they stand before you having earned a master's degree from Lipscomb University, and many of them have dual endorsements in elementary education, special education, and ESL. This initiative is designed to support aspiring teachers from within our own district, giving them the resources and opportunities they need to pursue a teaching career. Investing in our support staff through apprentice programs like this one is a successful endeavor because these educators have years of previous experience working alongside classroom teachers and are able to apply what they're learning and what has been modeled for them by the teachers who they have supported in the past. This program is not only helps these dedicated individuals achieve their dreams, but also strengthens our district by filling critical open positions with highly qualified educators. Through strategic partnerships with Lipscomb, UT Southern, and MTSU, Rutherford County is able to address teacher shortages in our hard-to-fill positions like special education and ESL. Thanks to the initiative, we are not just meeting our staff needs, we're ensuring our students are taught by teachers who are deeply invested in our school and community. The Grow Your Own program has truly made a positive and lasting impact, and we look forward to its continued success. In recognition of their accomplishment, they have each received a branded name plaque, and at this time, I will read the names of our very first graduating class of Grow Your Own apprentices. As you hear your name, please stand. Sally Beasley, Rhonda Bruce, Melissa Buchanan, Jenna Burke-Mortar, Jalea Bustos, Amber Demers, Delaney Duncan, Rebecca Edwards, Melinda Estes, Leanne Glinsky, Rosemary Haggerty, Tracy Holler, Sharon Howard, Ashley Hughes, Tiffany Hurst, Alicia Jennings, Heather Jolly, Stanley Jocelyn, Lee Lambert, Ashley Leonard, Ashley Lewis, Arig Mahamud, Kara Most, Timothy Neal, Emily Niemeyer, Jessica Penix, Vanessa Rodriguez, Amanda Rutherford, Elsa Schaefer, Heather Shaw, Crystal Smith, and Kelly Vance. Rutherford County Schools is incredibly proud of your accomplishments and excited for the opportunities that lie ahead of you. We have no doubt that you will represent RCS well. And once again, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. We look forward to following your journey and witnessing the remarkable achievements that you will accomplish.
I just want to take a moment to tell you how proud of all of you I am. I used to be an EA, and if I weren't up here, I probably would have done exactly what y'all did. I'm very, very proud of y'all.
Congratulations.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I
Yes,
ask a
ma'am.
question real quick? What portion did we pay a portion on it? We didn't help them with anything? Mm-mm. Oh, okay. Okay. That's even better.
Yep.
Oh, it's gone now? It's gone. Oh, okay. Because I know someone was asking the other day about the program.
I do think they have to pay now. I know, it's not as much, but
If we can find out how much. So we can.
I'll get on that. I'll just wait for them to close the doors.
All right, thank you guys. So I have my amazing wife, Casey, and 12-year-old son, Declan, with me. So tonight is just in honoring the Sullivan Family Scholarship. So I'm going to give you a little bit of stats just to kind of go over. Many of you know this, but for those of you that are watching or new to us. So the Sullivan Family Scholarship was created to honor Declan Sullivan and his battle with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. On April 9th, 2020, he was diagnosed, and he was treated through August 6th, 2022. What is different about leukemia is there are no stages. Because it's considered blood cancer, it is everywhere. And he was, instead of a stage, designated as the highest risk, which is very high risk, which indicated the amount of treatment that he had to go through. As a summary of kind of Declan's journey, and I know he's embarrassed for me to talk about it, that's why he's putting his head down over here, because he is a 7th grader, and a 7th grader doesn't want the attention anyways. He had 43 nights in the hospital, 849 total days of treatment, 2 ER visits, 4 blood transfusions, 1 platelet transfusion, 3 bone marrow biopsies, 1 port placement, 1 port removal, 5 IVs of methotrexate infusion, 4 high-dose methotrexate infusions, 41 vincristine infusions, 26 spinal tap surgeries with chemo, 137 days of steroids, 10 pills each day, 7 pegasparagase infusions, 3 cyclophosphamide infusions, 24 cytarabine infusions. We had to give some of those at home as well. 14 oral chemo doses of a chemo I'm not even going to try to pronounce. 64 oral methotrexate, which were 9 pills apiece, and then he had 585 oral methotrexate doses at home. So for almost 2.5 years. What is neat for us is that most of the time you get to go meet your heroes, and for Casey and I, we got to raise one of ours, really both of ours. And so something I wanted to highlight about this was that this was created before Asher's accident. It was truly about Declan and giving back to families. This is all our personal money that comes out of our personal accounts. So that's what the checks come from, our personal accounts. So I don't want that to be confused anywhere else. It is our personal accounts, not Rutherford County Schools. And we have 3 recipients. When we decided to do this, we opened it up to any high school senior in Rutherford County that could either survive a critical illness or they were the sibling of a critical illness, because that was something our entire family went through. So the first recipient we have is Kevin Green, the recipient of a $1,000 scholarship. So Kevin, if you will come up here. Second, and that was probably the toughest part, is going through, really. We talked about, I said, why don't we just do more money for everybody? And at some point, it's like, okay, we need to chill out for a second here and build this every single year. Next, we have Selena Ramirez. I don't know if Selena's here. And then last, it was, this is the part I knew would get me. The Warren family, I mean, I won't share details, but we read these the week before Asher's accident. And in looking at these applications, we had intended Asher to actually give this one because Clay's brother had a critical illness and still battles with a critical illness, but we wanted to honor somebody from the sibling standpoint. And so the $3,500 award goes to Clay Warren. Sorry, guys, I tried to get through that and I couldn't. You want to say anything? No? If y'all will, thank you guys for entertaining us for that. It's something that's special. This will transition to our Sullivan Strong Charity Foundation. We're working with lawyers and attorneys to try to set up, whether it is the 401c3, all those different types of things we're working through setting up, and it's about a year-long process. I thought I could get it done in like 4 weeks and move on, and that is not how that works, I have found out. So we'll be combining the Sullivan Family Scholarship along with some donations and things to honor Asher as well, just to honor both of our amazing kids. So
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. This is a wonderful thing, a wonderful gift. Thank you for your family.
for a second, I have to go out there and take a picture. So
I
I'll
understand.
take like a
We'll-
recess for a minute or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You need a motion for a recess?
Why don't we take a 5-minute break for just a moment, and then we'll wait till Dr. Sullivan comes back to continue the meeting.
I was like, except I lost my notes. Other than that, I'm great.
Thank you. We go now to number 10, legal.
All right, legal tab 10, we have 3 out-of-county transfer students. The first one is out-of-county transfer student number 1. The board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. The student was remanded for fighting, possession, and use of drugs. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools' recommendation is to deny. However, the board recommended motion, you can admit or deny the admission of this out-of-county transfer student.
Any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to deny.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Number 2.
Number 2, the board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. This student was expelled for making a mass threat on social media. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools' recommendation is to deny admission, and again, the board has either option to admit or deny the admission of the out-of-county transfer student.
Move to approve.
Which one?
Oh, you guys say deny.
Approve. Deny.
Deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Denied admission. Number 3.
And then third, board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. This student was expelled for participating in a group fight. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system while under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools' recommendation is to deny admission, but again, the board can either admit and place them or deny admission.
Have a motion?
Move to deny.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Denied. Next, we go to Human Resources tab.
And so the first one, I want to thank Christine Bryan, Monica Ridley, our team for working on this. I know Christine has been back and forth. I also want to thank STARS because as requested by the board on Tuesday night, we worked on this new memorandum of understanding all the way up until about an hour before the board meeting. And so it has written parental consent anywhere that there would be any type of services. What I want to highlight is that when we work with STARS, another provider is Centerstone that works at some of our schools. There's a big difference between school counselors and mental health counselors. They are actually licensed completely different. They are covered under 2 different state statutes. When you were talking about school counselors, it's under TCA 49. When you're talking about licensed clinical counselors or professional counselors, you're talking about Tennessee Code Annotated Chapter 63. And so this memorandum of understanding covers the TCA through 63, not necessarily our school counselors. They're licensed under a different group. So this memorandum of understanding is between Rutherford County Board of Education and STARS Nashville 2425. STARS agrees to provide student assistance services and enhanced student assistant program services. Recommended motions to approve the renewal of the MOU between Rutherford County Schools and STARS Nashville 2425 as presented.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Darby.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Sullivan and all those that were involved in working on this. I think the changes that were made spoke directly to what we had asked for on Tuesday, and I appreciate y'all working on that and getting it taken care of. I think this is a really good move for us.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Ms.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan, for getting the written parental consent in there. That was something that I had been specifying. But I do want to ask Ms. Kristen a very important question so that there be clarity as to what the process is when it pertains to a recommendation for the services of STARS and how this parent partnership between STARS and the school system and all that process so that everyone is aware of that, how that goes, please. Thank you.
You want me to explain the process when referring a student?
Yes.
So a referral can come from a counselor or it can come from a teacher. When those happen, we do reach out to the parent and explain the process, and then we turn over that parent's name to the STARS counselor. They reach out to the parent and they communicate with their paperwork that they get consent from the parent so they can start services. The parent can also request services. And so that parent would just reach out to either the school counselor or the STARS counselor themselves, and again, we would start that process. There is always written consent.
And then can you speak into the other side as to what access of data and paperwork we have at the school once the consent is given and the services are being administered to the child?
Yes, at each school, there is a shared Excel spreadsheet between the counselors, administrators, and STARS, so that anytime we can know that who's been referred, where they are in the process, where we've gotten parent consent, or we're waiting for parent consent. Or were they continuing to see the student? Have they dismissed the student? And now we can move on to another referral because they are limited on the number of students that they can see. But that information is shared with the counselors, admin, and STARS.
Thank you.
Yes. I'd like to make a comment. I think the people that don't know about STARS, they're one of the best assets that Rutherford County Schools has. I've been working with them since 2016, and the way they deal with kids, and they take care of the kids that, you know, our counselors are limited, and when it gets above that area of concern, STARS, well, they are phenomenal, and I'm just glad we got all this worked out.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Sullivan, this may be a question for Monica, but I have a question about the consent form that Mr. Brooks was referring to. Does that override this? So if you sign an okay for that consent, which is kind of an umbrella policy, would that affect this, or are they all completely separate?
No, it does not override it. They're two separate consents.
Okay, yeah, that was a question someone asked me after the meeting.
Our consent is just for basic first aid care, basically.
Ms. Maxwell? Yes. So that statute, the Family Responsibility Act, it speaks very clearly about what the consent is, and it speaks very clearly and is spelled out that within the scope of that statute is only applicable for nurses that are licensed, where we are having to give approval for something as simple as a Band-Aid. And it does not negate the fact that if the child were to need emergency, or if something were to happen to that, we're still liable in having to give medical attention to that. It does not include the licensed practitioners of a counselor or a psychiatrist, because those two licenses are completely different. So when you sign consent to that form, it excludes this type of services that we're talking about right now. And second of all, Dr. Sullivan, wasn't this something that we discussed during policy committee in July? Because the statute went into effect and we all voted on this unanimously, and no one made a comment about this when we were talking about this?
This was one thing I would like to add, if you don't mind, Madam Chair. I was going to do this during general discussion.
Okay.
But just to kind of bring some clarity, because I understand and I hear the information, Public Chapter 1061, commonly referred to as the Family Rights and Responsibilities Act, hits Title 36, which is Chapter 36, is really what it goes after in TCA. We talked about this Tuesday night. TCA for Education is Chapter 49. That is where education services, school psychologists, and school counselors are licensed under Chapter 49, the Board of Education. TCA 63 is where health-related boards and persons who possess professional licenses under boards regulated by this statute. These would be our school nurses, licensed professional counselors, and again, we do not employ licensed professional counselors. We don't have any in our entire school system that are considered a licensed professional counselor. We may have a school counselor who has gone back to school and gotten a second degree, but they are complete separate licensure paths once you are in your master's program. Only reason I know that's my wife is a licensed professional counselor. She doesn't practice, but I was very frustrated being in education that she would not go into school counseling. But she refused to go into school counseling, so even though we have that need. All that to say, the other things that have been mentioned, and I know nothing else to call it, just misinformation. RCS does not have a vaccine program. TCA 63-1-165 gives the regulation that school systems can partner with outside entities if they want to. We do not. I talked with Shannon Groom today. Our health department can. We have practitioners who can. Pediatricians can. We do not vaccinate students in the Rutherford County school system. Medications, we follow the Tennessee Department of Education's guideline for health care in a school setting. There must be prior written consent plus health care provider if prescription medication is provided. You can't just give consent on this form that was discussed to give medication. To give medication, we have an additional RCS-approved medication authorization form that every parent has to submit if that's what they want. The other portion, the reason mental health services are not mentioned, because that's, again, not what our school system does. School counselors, again, have their own licensing. TCA 49-124 actually speaks to mental health counseling and what school systems can and cannot do. An LEA or school, even for us to do a mental health screening, which we do not do, if we were to do a screening, it says that, and again, it's TCA 49-124, an LEA or school shall notify parents or legal guardians of the purpose of the mental health screening, date and time, provide who the provider or the contractor is, and I think that's important because, again, it's not Rutherford County Schools as the provider or the contractor, and the length of time. It has to be active written consent. It cannot be a blanket consent form to be able to do something like that. Really, the mental health aspect, and this is where kind of the school system gets in the middle of the controversy, and we don't want to be in the controversy, is that ultimately mental health is a parent responsibility. But unfortunately, we have kids that come to school who that responsibility falls then to it's not safe for the kid to be in the school setting. And then we have issues where you have tragedies happen in schools. And I don't want to bring light of that situation, but that terrifies me from a running this school system standpoint as we have a kid we know who needs help. They may make threats, they may have things on social media, the parent is not involved, but at the same time, I have to make sure that our schools are safe. That is a constant flux that we're stuck in, that we're trying to battle between making sure that we get what's needed, but that we keep all of our kids safe. And so just wanted to, I was going to do it during general discussion, but I'll send all that to the board as well. I did a lot of reading on this again.
Ms. Maxwell? Can you speak into the Privacy Act and HIPAA, how that relates and pertains to medical information and divulging? We're covered under HIPAA.
Correct.
And giving a consent to that form does not imply that we're giving consent for anyone to come in and take information and release any information or even look up any information. My understanding is that we are held liable to those laws, and we have a record of who gets in access to those records if they're unauthorized. Again, we still have to authorize that because of HIPAA. And this form that we signed did not supersede our right as a parent to say, we give you everything and we blanket it violently and allow the school to do whatever they're willing to do. And there's just some misinformation, unfortunately, that got out. And so I'm glad that you took the time to dispel some of that because we don't need to give false pretenses that we are out here to take away parents' rights. I, for one, I am a parent, and I do not consent to vaccination. I will never consent that at all, and will not give consent to my child private information just being taken out. That's private of my, that's information that's private. So thank you so much for that, and
I can attest to it. I have to fill them out for, I just shared Declan's health history, so it's not anything I'm not sharing, but even when you do Vanderbilt Medical Center, Vanderbilt and MMC have a connection with all his health records. I have to fill one out for both groups to make sure the school gets access.
Ms. Sharp? Thank you. Respectfully, Mr. Vaughn, I'm glad that you had a good experience with STARS, but they do some other services for us. They teach a wellness class, and at Laverne High School, one of the STARS teachers, took it upon herself to show sexually explicit videos to our children, and that was part of what we were hinting at on Tuesday night. I don't think it's anybody's authority when you sign a blank form for their kids to be hearing about dental dams and how to lose their virginity and orgies. So that's our problem. We have to protect these people. We have to put rails in that they just can't go in there. I'm glad everybody's had a good experience, but I guarantee you there's some kids at Laverne High School last year that saw some things that they shouldn't be seeing in the 9th grade, and it's a mandatory class. So we have to be vigilant. And you can say we're nitpicking, you can say whatever we're doing, but those children are our charges. And when people get out in the field, they get over exuberant, they hear people saying this, that, and the other, they have different narratives that they want to do, and it's okay for us to put those rails in there. We need to put the rails in there to protect the entire system.
Ms. Maxwell? Thank you. I cannot sit here in the board and pretend like we didn't take care of the situation. It was one isolated incident, and the minute it happened, it was not swept under the rug at all. And we cannot sit here and pretend that the stars didn't do their job. Immediately, as soon as it was founded that it happened, they took care of the situation and removed the counselor. They did it swiftly. And Dr. Sullivan made sure it was taken care of. The principal made sure that it was taken care of. And at the end of the day, we're not Loudoun County. We're in Rutherford County. We have a board, whether you agree with me or not, because some people feel like I'm the biggest rhino. I do not want my child to be exploited in that regard at all. And I feel that we have a school board that is very responsible and has been responsible. We haven't let a single incident fall through the cracks. Not a single one. Not one. And Dr. Sullivan has been amazing at taking care of all of these issues. And there have been issues that have happened behind the scenes, and we've took care of them. Every single one of them. And at the end, and I feel like we need to have a little bit of grace of some of our school board members that are here that are new, because they're not privy to what happened. And Mr. Vaughn has had experience in being an educator for a very long time. And when we're coming to the table to talk about something that he's had a good experience, to him, made it a little bit different to hear something different. We should have tried to explain to him what happened instead of getting upset about it because we didn't like the questions. Because at the end of the day, we took care of it.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
No one said that it wasn't taken care of. No one said that Dr. Sullivan did not address the issue. The point was that it happened. It wouldn't have come to the board's attention had someone not called me at dinner and told me that it was happening. So we can say all day long we can address these things, but if they don't make it to us, we can't fix it.
Repeat that again. What did you say again?
I said, respectfully, no one said that Dr. Sullivan didn't take care of this. No one said that STARS didn't take care of this. What I said is that it happens, but the only reason that we found out about it was that someone ran into me at dinner and told me about it. Do you think that things happen out in the field that we don't know about? Of course they do. And the only way that we can address them is if we know about them. No one said anything about Dr. Sullivan or Dr. Hatchett. Love both of them. They did their job. But we do have to put the rails in there to protect our children.
Ms. Maxwell.
I don't understand why we're bringing up. I mean, this happened a year ago.
It did, but that's why we were asking the questions to put it in the MOU.
Listen to me. If I'm talking, you're going to have to keep your mouth shut so I can talk. We can't both talk at the same time.
Vaughn, we need to be respectful.
I am. It could be worse.
Well, go ahead.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, you know, there's no sense in bringing this up. You're beating a dead horse. It's been taken care of. I mean, you know, it's a, you know, we're annihilating STARS for something that, you know, that, I mean, it happens, things like this happens. It happens in the school system, for teachers, for everything. You can't disband STARS because of it, because I'm telling you, those people have kept severe situations for occurring in this county because of their skill set that we didn't have. And they took kids aside, and I'm telling you, it kept things from happening. I know that. I worked with Roger Dimon from the very beginning of it. And I've seen it grow and expand. And to annihilate them over this one thing, I mean, it was a tragic incident, but it's been taken care of. Lord have mercy. Why? why are we beating a dead horse? Why do we not concentrate on improving our schools instead of worrying about this has been taken care of? It's been addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Tidwell.
Yes, this may not be directly with STARS, but just going back to something Dr. Sullivan mentioned about the consent form. I know that there was a couple of individuals that have reached out to me that said that they were told their child could not participate in athletics. And I know you addressed that with one of them, but my request would just be that we let the other principals and everybody know exactly what
We did last
truth
week, and the
is.
board was CC'd on that email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Darby.
I just want to say that I think it's important that the board listen when some of us are asking questions and why we're asking. Nobody was vilifying or talking about disbanding STARS. We were actually working in the direction of trying to make sure that there are measures in place to prevent reoccurrences. Nobody's trying to beat a dead horse. It's about making sure we're doing our job moving forward to prevent another occurrence of something like that happening. So I think it's important that we listen to what's actually being discussed and try to leave the emotion outside of it. On the other subject that got brought up, I would like to say there are some differing legal opinions about the consent form, about the law, about who it speaks to, about who it doesn't. Dr. Sullivan and I have had conversations about it. My personal request was that we as a district create an alternate form that speaks to what specifically we are asking parents for consent form and or what we specifically are not asking for consent for. I think as a district, it's important and beneficial to everybody, to our staff, to our students, to our citizens, that when we create things that we are asking for parental consent on, that we are clear about what that consent speaks to. So I am still a proponent of creating an alternate form for those that are uncomfortable signing the form in its current state. I think that's something the board can choose to look at doing if we want to moving forward. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because there are, as with anything else, differing legal opinions about what that speaks to as well.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan.
So, man, Ms. Darby and I have talked about it multiple times. I'll just tell you from, let me pull up the form real quick. I had it with me. I'm losing all this stuff somewhere. I've got it in here somewhere. The form in its wording talks about basic health services is the way it's worded. It says basic health services such as fever, injury, and I know somehow that got implied to include mental health, but it specifically says basic health services, and we can argue it to argue it. Everybody can have different opinions. We left mental health off of it on purpose so that we weren't asking parents to consent to mental health because this is a basic health form. And again, the board can take any action they want to. I'm charged with day-to-day operations, and if the board wants to make an addition to a form, as I've told them, they absolutely can. We can make changes next year. I anticipate the law changing next year, and this probably not being in front of us next year. Yes.
Ms. Maxwell, I want to read this form right here. It says here, yes or no. You get to check. My student has permission to see the school nurse or other persons acting on behalf of the school system for basic health services, including assessment and treatment of illness, headache, abdominal pain, vomiting, fever, etc., injury and or non-emergent care. If you do not consent for your child to receive basic health care services, you will need to ensure that you are able to arrive at the school within 30 minutes of notification from the school for assessment and treatment of any illnesses or injuries of your child. If not, EMS may be called. So I don't know where in here where it says that we're going to give as a basic health service vaccination and mental health screening, because it clearly states here that it's for basic health care assessment based on fever, vomiting, and things like that. That's what's within the scope of that form.
Mr. Tidwell.
I was just going to make a motion with the changes for the MOU to approve the MOU for STARS.
Second?
Thank y'all. Would you want to do a roll call vote?
Go for it.
Mr. Vaught? Ms. Sharp? Mrs. Darby?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Tidwell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosales? Mrs. Maxwell?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Next, we have
Yep. So this is a request for 2 additional nursing staff. Due to the growing size of our district, an increase in number of medically fragile students requiring case management, tracheostomy care, ventilator care, tube feedings, catheterization, diabetes management, the health service department is requesting 2 new school nurse positions. As director of schools, I can't authorize any new positions without board approval, so that is what this is requesting. We will have to come back and have to amend funds in at the mid-year. So recommended motions to approve the 2 additional school nurse positions to cover needs at large high schools and schools with medically fragile students.
yes, Ms. Sharp.
Thank you. Dr. Sullivan and I spoke Tuesday night afterwards, and there's a couple of venues that we think, or avenues that we think that we might be able to go down to get some money. It was TANF and
TANF was one where I remembered.
Families First?
Yes.
Okay, something like that. So hopefully we can shake some extra resources out.
That sounds excellent. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Vaught.
Basic cost, what is it? What's a nurse cost?
Roughly $80,000 with benefits. Yep, salaries 50 to 60, and you're looking 15 to 20% with benefits.
Any other questions, discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
My apologies, Ms. Sharp.
No worries, Mr. Vaughn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Next, we go to number 12, instruction.
So this is the ESL department, does not currently have an administrative assistant serving the fastest growing student population in Rutherford County schools. We've opened the 24-25 school year with over 8,000 English learners. The workloads become very heavy in the areas of Skyward, over 800 students needing to be coded, individual learning plans and TN Pulse, and facilitating over 1,000 families that need assistance with registration in our ESL Welcoming Center in Smyrna. Position for the administrative position assistant was allocated in the budget for Westbrook's Woods Academy that we would like to transfer to the ESL department for the 24-25 school year. This would not impact the budget because it would be the transfer of a position. Recommended motion to transfer the admin assistant position budgeted for Westbrook's Woods Academy to the ESL department at no fiscal impact for the 24-25 school year.
Any discussion, comments?
Well, I'll tell you, ESL is just overwhelming. I don't know how that department's,
It is.
there's so many kids coming in.
It is being very taxed right now.
Ms. Maxwell,
Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
2 questions, twofold. Cost, how much is an administrative, because this will be a reoccurring cost next year, it'll have to be put back in the budget.
Correct. Let me pull that up.
I'm not holding you to it, I just want to get in the ballpark with y'all.
With benefits, probably 60 to 65.
Okay. Second question, this is the position to do data input?
Yes.
What I
Yes.
Now, which leads me to the bigger question. You said did I understand this? It's a couple of $100,000 a day?
Per day, yes, sir.
If this information is not submitted to the state
Correct.
in a timely manner.
Correct.
How many people do they need? I mean, realistically, this is,
They can make by because we move a lot of our English as a second language educational assistants to help data entry and that type of thing at the beginning of the year. Until the State Department gets the network working the way it needs to, we could have 10 people and it wouldn't be enough because they don't have the platform operable the way it needs to be.
okay, that's what I'm getting, because I'm thinking, hell, all hands on deck.
Yeah, yeah. So it's tough. It's tough.
I mean, that's a practical step.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough.
All right, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I understood the consequences here. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Yes, thank you. And there is a charge for next year, but since Westbrook Woods is not opening this year, they're just transferring that person to here. So that
No,
money
I
has already
understand
been.
that
Okay.
perfectly. I'm just
Okay.
saying, we don't need to. I fell prey to that 20-odd years ago. if some of you that are as old as I am, when Bill Clinton ran as the enforcer, that he was going to put police officers on the street, right? He's going to hire 100,000 police officers. Rutherford County got 2. We got $70,000. And the mistake was made in the budget. I'm telling y'all, this is a 25-year-old story. It was recurring money, and half the county commissioners did not realize that. So I don't want anything slip through us that is not mentioned. Hey, it's recurring money. It's coming back up. It's like the light bill. It's coming back. Okay? So, yes, I understand that perfectly, but that's the reason that's in the back of my mind all the time.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
The number of ESL students coming into Rutherford County is going about as fast as our federal government budget deficit. Going about that speed.
Any other comments or discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Next, we have engineering and construction.
This is the request for stadium press box lettering at Blackman High School. Principal Justin Smith is requesting to provide and install lettering for the back of the press box at the football stadium. Cost for this project is $7,500, and it will be funded by athletic field rental funds. This project is at no cost to the board. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection. Recommended motions to approve the Blackman High School stadium press box lettering request as presented.
Any questions, comments?
I got a question about Title IX. We're going to do the same thing for the girls.
They already have it.
They already have it.
Yeah, we watch Title IX at all of our schools to make sure equal.
Any other questions, discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have number 14, the contract agreement between MTSU and RCS.
MTSU seeks to be an Oakland High School sponsor. MTSU proposes a contract in which MTSU may sponsor activities and place advertising at Oakland High School. MTSU requests permission to place signage, which is detailed in the contract attachment. MTSU proposes to pay $5,000 per year for 5 years, and the contract terms are July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029. Recommended motion to approve the contract between MTSU and Oakland High School is presented.
And for those that weren't here Tuesday night, MTSU has been very kind and has pretty much done this for all of our schools. I think they've...
We're working towards it with all schools.
Yeah, working towards it. So they are fair to all. So this is just a really nice thing that they do. Any comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Vaught.
Clarification from my being low man on the totem pole. The $5,000 goes directly to...
Correct.
Goes into their fund.
Correct.
Any time it's mentioned, some school... It
goes to them.
Their personal budget.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we go to 15.
That's just a reminder that final decision needs to be made on these titles by September 19th at our next board meeting.
I finished 2 of my books, onward and upward. Next, we go to insurance.
We discussed that Tuesday at our next board meeting. We will have proposals, and we'll need to have questions during the work session because we need to pass a presentation or a proposal on Thursday, the 19th, as we'll have to do open enrollment starting October 1st.
Financial report.
I was going to do the financial report today, but for those of you that are, Mr. Vaught will definitely know this, but for Mr. Vaughn, our teacher payroll does not begin until September 20th. And so the financial report is very small until we actually run our first teacher payroll. So we are 2 months behind. Our teachers that are brand new to us started working August 1st, and they don't get paid for the first time until September 20th. And so that is county finance they are working through, and so we will have that at our next board.
And I hate that for them. Yes, Ms.
Are
Sharp.
we getting anywhere with the bi-monthly pay?
Not yet, we're not. The county finance department is, if you haven't watched the county commission, they're having as much fun as we are, so.
There are several Metro,
Yes.
very good Metro teachers that would like to come to our system, but since we get paid once a month, they don't want to. So,
What was the question? I'm sorry.
are we making any headways on swaying the county to pay our teachers bi-monthly versus once a month?
And county payroll procedures and our private act are all controlled by the Budget Committee and County Commission, so.
Gotcha. Director's update?
Only thing I wanted to add was, of course, I thanked Christine already. I also want to thank Kay and Brian. They are at budget right now. So Budget Committee is voting on our amendment for 177 and also the design fees for the Beatty project. Dr. Martin will also have to go to County Commission next Thursday because next Thursday we have the Tennessee School Board Association's Fall District Meeting. It is at Rockville High School. We are hosting that, and it is going to be probably one of their best attended, so they already have 25 more people signed up. Is it Thursday or is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? Yeah, the 12th. And they have 85 people signed up. Last year they had 60. And so Rockville High School will be hosting it, and we're proud to host it as well, because last year I think we had to go to Dixon or Cheatham County. We usually have to drive.
It was in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, we usually have to drive, so
I'm
we're
happy
proud
to
to be able
stay
to host
home
it.
this time.
Proud to be able to host it. So.
Tennessee Legislative Network and Federal Relations. We have nothing to report tonight, but I am pleased to report that Mr. Stan Vaught has stepped up and is willing to take on that role. So he will be giving us our educational report once they go back in session and get going. General discussion. I have something I would like to. This is something near and dear to my heart. On September the 26th, it's a Thursday, at 6 p.m. at Stewart's Creek Middle School, the Jason Foundation is going to be working with Rutherford County School to host a suicide awareness and prevention night. I lost a son almost 11 years ago, and it wasn't with a suicide, it was a drug overdose. It took me a few years to even say those words. I would just say something happened. But there are a lot of parents and a lot of families that are struggling right now. And I really think the Jason Foundation does a really good job of educating and helping you see the signs and to help you get the help that you need. And I can't stress this enough, that if you have any questions at all, it's a great thing. And if you like to reach out to me, I wouldn't mind talking to you about it. But I really feel like, I thank you, Ms. Bryant, for doing this. This is something that's really a good thing, and I appreciate it so much.
Madam Chair, my comment, we hear a lot of complaints about things that are going on, but, I just want everybody to realize that we have the best school system anywhere in the state of Tennessee, and I've evaluated schools all over basically the South and the conferences, and I promise you, I'd put our school system against anybody in the country. And our teachers are phenomenal. Our administrators are phenomenal. Our administrators are phenomenal. Our director, our central office staff. And I just encourage you that make the same effort to find the good things and encourage your school as much as you do to complain about certain things. We just want to get things better, and it's going to take all of us to do that. We got challenges coming at us, and we have got to all stick together and just work with your schools and appreciate them and encourage them, because I'm telling you, we have the best. You're not going to find it any better. And if you don't believe that, go down the road about 35 miles and try that place out. And I just can't tell you how good. We've got the best teachers. Teachers want to come here. That's one of the reasons we don't have. We're not hurting for teachers. Really. Teachers are really begging to come here. And that says so much for Dr. Sullivan, the staff, the principals, and, it's just the environment. And I just want all you parents and everybody to support your school and find out the good things the school's doing instead of looking at some of the few weeds that are around the corner. Look at the positive things. Look at the dandelions in the front yard instead of the weeds.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Evans? Yes, ma'am. Would you please announce?
Sure. So, starting back in the spring, as you all know, most of you know, because I know we have a couple of new members, but my department, the communications department, met individually with each board member. And Ms. Darby, we were just talking about some communication goals and strategies and some plans for the new year. And Ms. Darby was very adamant that she wanted to do some sort of employee recognition program this year. And so we talked about that. And she has a contact with at least one of the Sonic franchisers, Sonic the restaurant franchisers here in the county. And if I say anything wrong, you're going to correct me, Ms. Darby, okay? I don't want to cause any trouble with the Sonic people, please. But they have agreed to help sponsor some awards for different categories of employees that we want to recognize. And so launching tomorrow will be a nomination process. We'll roll out all the details for 4 categories of employees, and these came from Ms. Darby as well. But one is transportation, so anyone who is a bus driver, a bus aide, or a crossing guard, that would be one category. School support staff, these are people at the school level, not the central office, but EAs, office workers, those types, custodians, anybody who's a support worker at a school. Administrators, so your principals and assistant principals. And then the fourth category is principals. I'm sorry, teachers. I've already said principals, teachers. So those 4 categories, the public or students can then nominate somebody in one of those categories to be recognized. And we're going to have a selection every month during the first semester. So it's September, October, November, and December. And then in the second semester, we'll start back up February through May. So there'll be 8 total that'll be recognized in those 4 categories. And then the Sonics of of Rutherford County have agreed to give them gift cards for a certain amount that we'll award every month and announce those. And we've got a nice graphic built up and to thank Sonic for their support. But this is something new so that we can keep building that culture that Mr. Vaughn's talking about with our employees and make sure they know how appreciative we are of all that they do every day to keep our schools running smoothly. So different categories every month, 8 times a year, starting tomorrow. We'll start taking nominations. And then Dr. Sullivan and his leadership team will help go through those applications, those nominations, and decide who gets that every month. So did I miss anything, Ms. Darby?
I don't think so. I don't want to take credit for it. It was an idea that was sparked off of another system, something I saw on a website. And I want to thank Mr. Evans and his team for working with me on that because I was super excited to get our community involved. So this is something for those of you at home watching, parents, students, you can get online and you can nominate your favorite staff member. And I want a huge shout out to Sonic. They have just been ready, willing, and able to support RCS and sponsoring this program, so I'm super excited to get it off the ground.
Locations?
It is all of the Rutherford County locations, so that those franchises are all working together to support RCS for this. So.
That is tremendous, and I want to thank you, Ms. Darby, for bringing this to our attention.
Nope,
You saw it. You saw it.
You've been working on it for a long time.
I'm sure if there are others that want to support our employees, that we'd be happy to do more.
This might spur them on. Exactly.
That means we have to order more sun drops, right? Right, Dr. Sullivan, with the red syrup?
Is there anything else y'all like to talk about? Yes, sir.
Just real quick, because I think it is on. I asked Mr. Reed about this as well. So this is where I need help as a director of schools. I don't think it's any surprising by watching. We can have some contentious board meetings. School Board Policy 1.100 talks about what the powers of the board are, and that puts me in a very contentious spot because everything is usually split one way or another. And I can have one board member ask me to do something, which then in retrospect may make another board member completely upset about that action. And so these lines it talks about in our board policy and All powers of the board lie in its actions as a group. Therefore, individual board members exercise their authority over school system matters only as they vote to take action in an official meeting of the board. I need y'all's support if there's something that you want me to do differently to make a motion and act on it, because I get stuck in the middle of trying to implement what I think somebody wants, which very well could be in the complete opposite of what a different board member wants. And so that places the director of school and our school system in a very precarious situation. It's my job to enforce policy, and it's my job to run the day-to-day operations. And I can only do that if I know what the board truly wants me to do through actions. And that's where I need help on, any board member can add something to the agenda. So if you want something added to be voted on, and just remember that my job's to follow the will of the majority of the board. So even if it is 4-3 or 5-2, 6-1, 7-0, I have to instill that regardless of what our personal beliefs are. I have to follow them.
And we need to just be respectful to each other and each other's opinions.
I got one thing I want to tag with that. You know, as board members too, we need to go to the superintendent. If there's an issue that comes up, the first place we go to is not get involved in the situation, but go to the superintendent and let him take care of the situation. We don't need to try to take care of it and get involved in it and get things stirred up. I mean, that's not our place. And I think just out of respect to him and his position, you know, that's what we're required to do.
I agree.
With that, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Any second? Second. Thank you. We are adjourned.